Okay, so welcome everyone. We are super excited about tonight. I know we say that about a lot of our calls, but it's just because we have really, really good speakers, so we get really excited about them. And tonight is no exception. Let's talk about a couple of things before we get started. How about these April promotions, these April incentives? They're awesome. Who's going to go for their $150 spa gift card? Who's going to go to the spa? Tommy, are you going to go to the spa, get your spa gift card? You know you want to. You know you want to. Get that spa gift card. Sign up 3 new VIPs. How about the new VIPs getting a bottle of ease? That's fun to say. New VIPs get some ease, okay? So new VIPs can get a bottle of ease. And then April 22nd, Momentum Meetup. These are happening all over the place. You can host one. You just need to sign up. You need to register to host it and get your information. But you can host one, but they're happening everywhere. There's one here in Dallas. I know that we just posted about one happening on the East Coast. Amber Kidd posted that she's hosting one in Virginia. So even if you think, hey, I may not have that many people, I promise you, you would be surprised if you started posting, if you decided to host one and you started posting about it with a few friends and sharing about it in a few pages, you would be surprised what your turnout could be. Because this wouldn't just have to be people from your team, right? You could open it up to other teams as well. So if you know about a Momentum meetup that hasn't been posted about in our team page yet, and you have the information for it and the graphic for it, go ahead and post it and be on the lookout for those. Those are going to be awesome. And how about in the month of April, double convention credits? Yes. Who's excited about that? I know I am pumped about that. Put in the chat what you're going for in the convention contest. Put in the chat what you're going for, what you're shooting for, and what you think, like, hey, with these double credits this month, I'm going to buckle down and I think I can really, really, really get this. Put that in the chat. You guys, I'm so excited about our speakers tonight. Tommy and Amber Sheffield. I have known these people for a really long time. We went to the same college way back in the day. And Trinity Baptist College in Jacksonville, Florida. And they're not old, of course, just I am. But, we went to college together, so you do the math. But anyways, so like I said, I've known these guys for a really long time and got to know both of them a lot better as a couple. Jonathan and I did when we had our leaders retreat in Washington, D.C. We had so much fun that week. And just really got to know them better then. And our husbands, Amber will also tell you, the 2 Ambers will tell you that our husbands are like brothers from another mother. So Tommy and Jonathan are 2 peas in a pod. Right now, these guys are in South Dakota, and they're actually missionaries in South Dakota to the Black Hills of South Dakota. Went up there, started a youth group because it's not super popular up there like it is all over in the South like we see. And they are currently serving in schools and in other areas where they can meet kiddos to invite them to youth group, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. They have 4 beautiful children. And tonight they are going to teach us how to talk to every personality so that we never have conflict in our lives ever again, period. Right? Tommy and Amber, we're super excited. Amber's also a senior Ruby on our team. I should also mention that. That's kind of a big deal. But we're so excited to have you guys with us. So please take it away.
All right. Can you hear us or is it kind of glitchy?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. And then did you make us the host?
I will do that right now. Hold on just a second.
We're going to try to share some slides. Do you even call them slides anymore? I feel like that dated me, but okay.
That's from when we all went to college together back in the day.
You're gonna play your slideshow. Okay. Your slideshow. Yes, you are now the host of the call.
Okay, so now there it is. Okay, so now, sorry, just technical stuff here. All right, so Amber, where do I find the screen share? Because normally it's at the bottom and it's not. there a way to do that still? If not, we're just going to use the papers in front of us and do the
Okay,
best we can. Do you
mine's
see
at
it?
the bottom. I can see it. I don't know. It's hard to know without seeing your screen right.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that introduction, first of all. I'm gonna plug my computer in. My gosh, I feel like we're all over the place tonight because it's saying it's dying on us. Anyway, all right. So thank you for that. We're happy to be here. This is something that I'm just his support. He does most of the teaching. He has a natural gift for teaching, and this is a passion of ours. Just a little bit of background. When I came across this, he's kind of taken it and pulled it from Danny Johnson. If any of you are familiar with her, also the 4 color personalities, he'll kind of talk about that. And then we kind of created our own. But when I came across this years ago, I think I was a year into Plexus, and it just really, really helped us understand each other. It helped me in business. It helped us with our kids. There's really any relationship. So this is something we're very passionate about. He's had the opportunity to teach it in the business world on our Plexus team. He's had the opportunity to teach it in our local school, a couple business classes. The teacher asked him to come and teach for 4 days to the people there and the kids there, and they just loved it. We've taught it in our Bible study groups. It's just been something that God has used. So thank you for this opportunity. We don't have a way to share it. I am looking all over and I cannot figure it out. So he's just going to do the best he can. Sorry for the visual. Hopefully next week for part 2, we will have the visual. So go ahead.
All right. So like she said, we came across this years ago now. And one of the things that sticks with me in the story I always tell as I'm starting this is we taught this at our church in our Sunday school classes. And we had an older lady. I actually went and visited her in the hospital later. And she said, she was like 70 years old. And she said, thank you for teaching this. She hadn't talked to her sister in like 10 years. And because of the personality training, she realized that basically, I'm going to paraphrase, her sister wasn't just a big old jerk. It was just they were miscommunicating because they had different personality types. And so she was able to reconcile with her sister. And so that was kind of huge for us. So we do this. Yes, it will be super helpful in your business, but we do it mostly for the life change. This could really change your life. It could change the relationships in your life. So we're gonna kind of do 2 parts. I think it's this week and next week, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
On the call this week, we're gonna kind of zero in on the theory, if you will. Hey, what are the personalities? Why do we act the way we act? So we start with knowing ourselves. That's the big thing. I've got to know who I am and why I do what I do, the way I do it. You ever just gotten really mad at somebody and just lost it on somebody and then gone, why did that make me so mad? That's one of the things we'll kind of explore here, is why we do what we do. Once we figure ourselves out, and it really has to start with us. And I want to emphasize this because it really starts with knowing ourselves, because that will change the way we interact with other people. Just knowing the other personality types isn't going to help you in business on the level that knowing what your personality type is and how that interacts. For example, I was at a worship conference. Oh man, it's been years ago now. And I'm pretty blue, big personality, and so they did that really annoying thing where they like, tell everybody to shake hands and greet your neighbor. And so I turned around and I was like, hey, what's going on? I'm Tommy. And the dude literally flinched. He was like, flinched at me. Right. And it was just funny because I had understood personality stuff. I went, ooh, I came on super hot blue and I need to rein this in because this guy's a yellow. And he just was not ready for that. Right. And so I was able to just kind of bring it down and calm it down and interact with the guy. And he opened up just fine. So it really does helping to understand who we are and where we're at is kind of where we start. Also, as we walk through this, Reds, I'm talking to you. There is not a best personality. Okay. In the business world and Christianity, especially, we're all taught to be servants and all these kind of things. And we have these this is a personality type that is the most Christian-like or whatever. And the reality is God created all of these personality types for a reason, and they are all necessary for the world to work. Right. And so if any of these the personality types were missing, the world would be a pretty messed up place. So there isn't a best one. They all have strengths and weaknesses. That is really important to remember, because a lot of times we get to go, oh man, I wish I was more this one, or wish I was more that one. And understand that even our strengths can become weaknesses if they're left to run out of control. Danny Johnson uses gems. That's the way she does things. That she says something along the lines of, it's because gems need refinement to become beautiful, and all of these personality types need refinement. There's no one that's just like set, and there's some of them that are going to think they're set and they've got everything figured out, and we'll get to that later on. But understand that all of our strengths can become weaknesses. We also tend to have strengths from all of them. Let Jonathan in. I miss him.
There you go.
Sorry, Jonathan just hit the waiting room. Hey, buddy. So all of our, we all tend to have some personality strengths. He said. So when we go through this, a lot of times we're like, well, I'm a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this. Our life changes things. The way we do things changes things. The way we grow up. Our parents can groom us into personalities that would be the opposite of what we would normally be. So there's a lot of things that play in here. I talked to a girl actually at the high school when I was teaching this, and she was telling me that she was she was like really organized. She's like, I think I'm really green, so but I got a whole lot of really blue traits. And in talking to her, she's got ADHD, so that shares a lot of traits with the blue. So it was making her go, okay, well, she was struggling with what personality she was. So we're just, this isn't a perfect science for those of you that are greens. If we got super detailed on this, there would be thousands of different personality types. And so the reason we use 4, all right, 4 goes all the way back to ancient Greece, and the father of medicine, modern medicine. He said he came up with 4 personality types. That's where you get if you heard sanguine, phlegmatic, that melancholy, that group. He came up with those way back in the day, and that was some like 500 or 600 years BC. But so it's not a new thing. And so you've got these 4 personality types, and then there's more detail. You got like Myers-Briggs and things like that counselors use a lot of times, that'll give you more detail. The reason we stick with the 4 is because for us in everyday life, 4 is really easy to remember, right? And we're not going through 18 or 16 or 10. It's just 4, really simple, really easy to remember. And so this is something practically you'll be able to use in your life. All right. So also, before we get into the personalities, I want to mention all of the personalities want to help the world. They just go about it in different ways. There are some personalities that kind of appear really selfish, and people go, oh man, I can't believe that person's so selfish. The reality is they're trying to help the world. Their way of doing that is very different than other personalities. So, all right. So that's the intro. I want to get into, if you are taking notes, this is what I was going to show you, and we will hopefully have this for next week. But if you want to draw just a box with 4 boxes in it, all right. And in the top left box, you're going to just write blue, the word blue. So that was top left. Did I say top left or top right?
Left.
Top left was blue. Top right is yellow. Bottom left is red. Bottom right is green. All right. So I'll show you what it looks like, but my color ran out on my printer. So it looks like hot garbage. So visual. Here we go. It's terrible, right? So you got 4 boxes like that. Terrible. Sorry about that. But okay, so the top 2, the blue and the yellow, tend to be more people oriented. All right. Their goal is people. Their main idea, the thing they want to make sure is safe and good is people. All right. They care less about getting tasks done and more about the people that are doing the tasks. All right. The blues are going to be larger groups of people. Everybody's happy. We're all having a good time together. Yellows is going to be more, how can I help one person, more one-on-one, but they're people driven. The bottom half of that is the red and the green. They tend to be more task oriented. So your red and your greens are going to be your, the reds especially, I don't care who I have to step on as long as we get it done, and you better get out of my way or I will push you over while I'm doing it because you're slowing the mechanism down. The greens are more, they like the tasks, they like the grind, they like the steps, they like the red tape. And well, if you can't fall in line with that, then that stinks to be you. So they're less people oriented in that way. But so they both tend to be task oriented. So you've got a difference there in kind of what their target is, what they're aiming at when they're doing things. If you look at the right side of the square, that would be the yellows and the greens. They tend to be more reserved, slower pace. They tend to think things through. They want to do the research, have the answers. The yellows are going to think because they're people oriented and thinkers. They're going to think about how what they do is going to affect everybody to make sure everybody's happy and taken care of. The greens are going to kind of be more thinking through. Well, what is our process? I want to do the research. I want to find out the best way to do this first. So that's kind of your draw there. And then on the left side, you've got the blues and the reds. They're the more outpaced, outgoing, fast-paced type people. Their word is go. They're not gonna think. They're the look before you leap kind of people. Your reds are gonna take all of their information and jump in and just go, and they'll be halfway done before the greens figure out what's going on, or even finish making a plan. And the blues are just more impulsive. Hey, let's have fun. They're gonna jump off the roof into a pool at a party, something like that, right? They're just not gonna think. So that's kind of your breakdown overall. They tend to kind of line up that way. So I'm going to start in the top left and kind of work my way around. In this square, it's kind of important to write it as a square, because if you go straight across on the diagonal on the squares, they tend to be just polar opposites. Most people aren't. You tend to have a personality type that's your main personality, and then a secondary, right? That you're kind of, you have more of that than the other ones. You don't tend to be both of the things straight across from each other because they're just opposites. If that is the case, and it does happen, it tends to be because you were groomed that way. As your parents, you had you are super organized and think things through and do the research and lists, and you had a parent that was like, go with the flow, be flexible and unorganized. And so you learn to be more outgoing and more flexible that way. That's kind of the way that works if you're on the opposite end. So your reds and your yellows would be opposites, and your blues and your greens would be opposites for the most part. All right. Also, if you think of your square as a grid, you can kind of be in a lot of different places on the grid. You can be more in the very, very, very super corner of the yellow and just yellow. You can be, a little more green yellow. You can be blue yellow. Like it just kind of moves all around that grid, almost like a color wheel. But all right, so we're gonna start with the blues. The blues are a blast. We're gonna have some fun with them. But I'm gonna start with each personality. I'm going to start with their strengths and then go to their weaknesses. Try to cover, as quick as we can so we can get through all of these. But our blues are all about the fun. All right. So we're going to say the word fun as we deal with each of these. And when a blue thinks of fun, and I want to kind of emphasize this because all the way down to the way we hear words and the words we use, a lot of communication issues come up because I say the word fun, and to me fun is having parties and hanging out with my friends and going camping with my friends and doing things as a group and those types of things. That's my idea of fun. Your blues idea of fun is your typical movie idea of fun. Let's kegger and have everybody over kind of a thing. And that's the blues. They want to know everybody. They walk in and they are just the center of attention. They know everybody. They walk around and say hi to everybody. They tend to be very outgoing. When a blue arrives, they arrived because everybody in the world knows they arrived because they are all, woo, yeah, the party's here. Let's do this. Right. So they love being around people. They just, that is one of the things that drives them. They want, everyone to like them, and they want to know everybody. They want to be the life of the party. They are very, very good motivators and visionaries, right? If you're having an event and you want a lot of people to be there, get your blue friends inviting people. All right. They'll be able to convince everybody it's going to be the time of their life, and they're going to come and they're going to get people going there. They are your big idea people. They got lots of big ideas, lots of crazy ideas. They're the ones that are going to really think outside the box more than anybody else. And they're going to leave the greens holding the bag as far as how to figure out how to do it. But they're going to be the ones going, yeah, I'll go, we can just make this bigger and better, and it's going to be great. And we're going to do all kinds of fun, crazy things. They don't sit still well. They do not fit into classical classrooms well. And so that's going to kind of go into their weaknesses some, because as much as they're the life of the party and they want to know everybody, wanting to be liked by a lot of people and wanting everyone to like them can lead them to make bad decisions because they want to fit in. And so sometimes they make the wrong decision because of peer pressure, or because they'll do something stupid because they want everybody else in the room to notice them and like them, right? They are the ones spending a lot of time in the principal's office, in school, and then we're proud of it. They're like, yeah, that's right, I went to the principal 3 times a day. They've been told their whole life to sit down and shut up and be more like the Greens, and that causes deep emotional scars. That makes the Blues go, they're very sensitive to criticism. They don't do well with criticism a lot of times because they've been criticized their whole life and told, honestly, and this isn't, again, I'm in the schools a lot. I sub just about every day, and I'm around kids, and a lot of the Blues, their personality does not fit in traditional schooling, so they get in trouble a lot. And so honestly, the brashness and the arrogance about how much they get in trouble stems a lot from insecurities, because they're getting in trouble so much anyway. So I might as well be like, whoo, I'm going to own it, and that's going to be what all the cool kids are doing. Right. They are not good at organization. So they're going to be, you're going to walk into their office and there's just going to be stuff everywhere. Right. They are not good at finishing projects. That is a weakness of theirs. All right. Mostly because all of your projects, everything you do at some point becomes a grind. There are days where you got to grind through stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Your business, you've called 100 people and they've all told you no. And you're like, oh man, this is, no's are awesome because that means you're getting out there. But sometimes you're like, oh man, I just got to keep pushing through. And that's not fun. That's not their idea of fun, because remember, their idea of fun is everybody liking them. And so they tend to go real big for a little while and then get bored of it and move on to the next thing, right? They're the ones that are constantly changing how they're doing their business and moving on to the next big idea, because they can't stay on one thing for very long because, well, that gets boring. So I got to move on and go to the next. So that's your Blues. We're going to jump to yellows. I don't have any idea. I forgot to start my timer. I don't know how
What time should he be done, Amber? I forgot to set the timer.
We're normally done at 8:30. Leave me like 5 minutes at the end to announce prizes. So 8:25.
Okay. All right. So because I'm a talker, I'll shoot for 20 after. All right. So they want to fit in. All right. So that, the disorganization, it just creates a lot of things going on there with the Blues. So we're going to move to yellows. So we have time for everybody. So yellows, the yellows, they love people and they are very loyal. Okay. They're the people oriented, and they're the thinkers, right? So they are the person, they're thoughtful and they are good listeners. If you have that friend that will sit there and listen to you go on and on about all of your problems for an hour and a half without ever acting like they're tired of being there, they're a yellow. Okay. honestly, they're the only ones that are going to put up with that mess. So everybody else is going to do something different, right? They're going to be like, this is boring. Let's talk about me now. The Blues will, and the greens and reds are going to be trying to fix your problem and not let you finish talking. So they are very considerate, very helpful. Okay, they're the ones that when you have an event, or you're doing something, they're going to show up early without even being asked to help you set up chairs, and then they're going to be halfway through, they're going to be in your kitchen, washing dishes, and you're like, why, what are you doing? You don't even live here. And they're just like, oh, I just saw it and wanted to help. And so so sorry. So they tend to find needs and fill them without being asked. They are extremely generous. Okay, they are very giving. These are the saying, they'd give you the shirt off of their back is I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we're having this conversation. I'm just gonna tell you guys, because I have ADD and I'm blue, so it's just like, whoo, it's like blue on steroids. And she told me not to look at the comments at the bottom, because every time I do, I completely lose track. So
Tommy, don't look at the bottom.
She's like, stop it.
Okay.
All right. So
real life people.
Yes, real life, and we're able to laugh because I understand that she understands me, and we're just having a good time with it anyway. So they're very generous. All right, they tend to be very giving people. They give you the shirt off their back. They are a lot more soft spoken for the most part. They do not like confrontation. Okay, so your yellows are your one-on-one. They have like 3 or 4 friends they've had their whole lives, and they are very good listeners. They're the ones that are going to be more compassionate. We talked about fun. The idea of fun for a yellow is helping other people. Like, they'll go outside and dig holes all day if it helps somebody and call it fun. Anything, they'll put themselves out and it'll be fun. It'll be a great day because they were able to help somebody. They're very driven by causes, and they tend to be in careers that are more, teachers, childcare, those kind of things. So because they are so thoughtful, they are great when you're planning things on making sure everybody's included. They are really great at they're intuitive. They're very intuitive when it comes to how people are feeling and whether or not people are comfortable or uncomfortable. Your blues can't always see that, so having a yellow in your corner can really help you navigate that. So they don't like confrontation, and that's so we're kind of getting into the weaknesses now, because it's good to not like confrontation, but when you run a business, there are times you have to have hard conversations. And so they tend to avoid those hard conversations because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, right? It's not that they're being selfish and worrying about themselves. They don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. So they don't want to confront them on things because, well, they don't want to upset them. And so yellows, if you can hear my heart on this, it is important for you to learn confrontation, to call people out on their stuff, because they need it in order to help them move on and grow in their business and grow in what they're doing, to grow in life. Sometimes you got to tell people where they're at and what they've got going on and where they're going wrong. Otherwise, they're just going to keep hurting themselves. So by holding back that confrontation, you're actually hurting them unintentionally. And we all know that's not your intent. So that's something to understand as a yellow. And really the way yellows kind of work is something happens, right? And it upsets them, or they realize it's an issue. Say they get offended by a spouse or a friend or something like that. And they're like, well, I don't want to say anything because it might offend them, because I don't want that confrontation. And so they push it down. And like, okay, we'll just go on. Well, then they continue to push it down. They continue to push it down. They continue to push it down until one day they explode, because they've been pushing that hurt down for so long. And now they're yelling at somebody, and they're doing the yellows are real good at the cry yell, because they're upset. So they're crying, but they're yelling because they're angry, because, man, I just exploded. But then while I'm exploding and yelling at you, now I feel bad because I'm yelling at you, but I can't help it because I can't let this go on. So that then I feel guilty about yelling at you. so that the next time I something happens and I don't like it, I just push it down again because I remember that I felt guilty. I feel guilty because of the last time I yelled at you. And so I push it down and I push it down and I push it down and I push it down. So one day I explode. And I'm just running around on that circle and that cycle. And your loved ones are literally, if you're married, your husband is going, I don't even know why you're upset. Like, what just happened? This is never a problem. And suddenly it's a problem. And then it's not a problem for you a while. And you're like, hey, maybe they got over it. And all of a sudden you're getting yelled at again. You're like, what just happened here? So the reality is, in these confrontations, is having those confrontations, your loved ones, the people in your lives, the people in your relationships, they want to know how they hurt you, or things that bothered you, because they love you, because they care about you. So you're actually helping them by pointing those things out and confronting them before it gets to the point where it explodes, because then you're just riding that wave of guilt. All right. And hopefully you guys can hear me on this. Is I just want to help you understand why you're doing that. A lot of times yellows in this moment in the training, they're really feeling it because they're like, man, I didn't realize that's what I've been doing this whole time. And so understand that confrontation is a very important part of life, and it doesn't have to be huge. It can just be, hey, when you do that, this is how it hurts me, right? You can communicate to them without exploding, and then you'll feel better about it and they'll feel better about it. Okay. And then I'm just saying, nobody can sugarcoat something like a yellow, because they're so concerned about the way other people feel. Right. They fear unknown situations. They like stability. It's easier for them to navigate. They can be organized, but their organized usually stems from a need for stability. So a lot of times they're like, well, I'm really organized like a green, but that yellow, the organization is more, I need some stability. I need to know where things are coming at me. I need to know that all the aspects of the situation. They can be enablers, and this is huge. This is, I want to help you so much that I'm giving to you so much that that I'm enabling you. I'm buying diapers and milk for your kid because if I don't, then your kid won't have diapers and milk. But then you're going out and spending the money that you're making on drugs, and so all you're doing is enabling them. And at some point, in order to help them, if you really want to help them, you have to back off and let them hit rock bottom and see that they're doing the wrong things. It really is. The hard thing here, and hear my heart on this, is you're really trying to be God in their lives. The people need to know and have the consequences of their actions to grow. They say we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes, right? And so we're depriving them of that because we're helping them out so much. And that doesn't mean never help anybody, but you got to learn as a yellow where the line is, right? If I'm continually buying stuff for their kids, and then they don't have to spend that money on that, they can spend it on other things that is bad for them and their family, then at that point I've crossed the line into enabling, and I really need to just step back and let God be God and get out of the way. So they tend to be withdrawn, shy. They tend to speak in lower tones. As far as they're quieter, they're not going to run in and be running around going, entering the room going, woo! They don't want to be looked at. They want to be over in the corner talking, having a real conversation about real things with a real person and not the whole room, right? They don't want to be seen. They tend to be in the background. All right. Amber's sitting right here beside me, so I'm not talking to myself. If there's anything I'm missing, let me know, honey, as I go through these.
Okay.
Before I move on to the next one.
You're good.
All right, we're good. All right. And again, next week we're going to get into what motivates them, how we interact with them how we interact with them, how we see what they look like, how we can identify them, and then kind of how to get them on your side and get them going, get them in your business, how to keep them motivated in business, and those types of things. So we'll really delve into that on the practical side of it next week. All right. So greens. I'm going to say this right now before I get into greens. The world wouldn't work if it wasn't for the greens. That's true about everybody, but the greens especially, because the greens are detail-oriented people, right? Your blue is going to be going, hey, let's put a bridge over there. The green's going to make sure it's not going to fall down on everyone, right? Because they're going to work out all the science and do all the research. And is this the best place to put it? I'm going to do the math and grind through all that. And these are the steps to build it. The Blues would just be out there throwing boards and dumping cement in the creek and not knowing what's going to happen, right? So they are very precise and very logical. Okay. And we're talking about the word fun. Fun for a green is research and learning new information. That is their jam. Okay. They have a lot of discernment and wisdom because they're the ones doing the research. They're the ones taking the time to think things through from every different angle, right? They're the ones with contingency plans upon contingency plans. They are the ones that you want to go to for advice on what kind of car to buy. Now, Blues, you're not going to like their advice because they're not going to tell you to buy the pretty flashy ones. They're going to tell you to get a used car that they researched on Consumer Reports that has good mileage and good, it's going to last you a long time. Or they're going to tell you to do the smart thing and to earn one through Plexus, just saying. But because then you don't have to get it yourself. But they're just discernment, wisdom, research. One of the things they bring to the table, and this is huge, is they won't quit when they can't figure something out. Most people get tired of the grind and are like, man, the minutia of this is killing me. I'm out. That the greens aren't going to get deterred by that because they just get to do more research, and that's exciting to them. But they are going to go, if you've ever been on a bender where you couldn't figure something out and you didn't sleep for 3 days because you just had to keep researching to figure it out, you might be a green. All right. That's that strengths run out of control can become weaknesses because you need sleep. They are on time and orderly, very on time and orderly. All right. To the point of they're going to be mad at you if you're not on time. Right. I had a professor in college that was talking about when to start like church services. And he said, here's the deal. If you don't start on time, most of the people aren't going to care. But the people that do care really care. If you are not on time, then they are angry at you. They think you're incompetent. Like, how hard is it to start on time? So if you're meeting with somebody to, share the opportunity of Plexus with them and you are 5 minutes late, the greens, you've lost them immediately. They're gone. You're incompetent. Why would they listen to you? It's going to be really hard to get them back. So greens, for all the greens out there, on time is not on time. Be early so that you can be ready to go and ready to start right on time. Right. So they're very on time and orderly. Greens, something you need to hear is that if being on time was that important, then it would be important to all the other personality types. All right. So greens got to learn some grace there of it's not as important to everybody else. Okay. And that's the, if it was that important to God, he would have made everybody that concerned with it. But in greens, on time is godly, right? On time is right. But everything is order. They are the checklist. I have a daughter that's green and she's green and yellow, but she's funny. When she was like 3, she used to always have us make lists and write out lists for her day for her, right? Schedule her day. Greens are the only ones doing that, just saying. One day I showed her that she could put little boxes next to the items, and so she could check off the boxes, and her little 3-year-old eyes just went like this. She was like, it was the greatest thing she'd ever seen. That's a green trait, right? They like spreadsheets, they like organization. They are very good at taking a big project and breaking it down into bite-sized steps. Right. So if you're a blue and you have this big idea and you're like, hey man, I really want to do this. And I want to do this huge event. It's going to be awesome. Or we're going to have hundreds of people there or whatever it is, because that's where blues go. Find a green friend that can help you work out a checklist to make sure you've got all your bases covered. Right. A lot of times, and I'm going to deal with this here for just a second. A lot of times in our business, we beat ourselves up, and in our lives, we beat ourselves up saying, because I'm a blue and I wish I was more green and I wish I was more organized. And so we spend our whole lives wishing we were more green, or we're green and man, I wish I was more personable and I wish I was more blue. And so we talk about working on your weaknesses, right? It's good to work on your weaknesses. We should work on our weaknesses, but understand that they're weaknesses and that's not the way you're designed. So you can really beat yourself up trying to spend a lot of time being something you're not, and it can make you miserable. So find somebody that is that opposite personality type, or is the personality type you need, and get them on board and work together with them, right? This isn't about changing yourself. Remember, we talked about knowing ourselves. It's not about changing yourself. It's about enlisting people that love doing these things, right? And we look at it a lot, and I'm going to use blue green as an example because I'm blue, and I feel like I'm dumping all the minutia on somebody because, hey, I need spreadsheets and I need research and those kind of things, and I don't like that stuff. That bores me, unless I'm super interested in it. And so I'm like, man, I don't want to dump that on somebody else, but I forget that I have green friends that they live for that stuff. That's their idea of fun. And when you come to them and say, hey, I don't understand this, I need to do a ton of research on this. Can you research this for me and break it down for me? They get really excited. You're actually speaking to their personality type and helping them, and they get really excited about helping you. So teaming up that way to fill in the gaps is super helpful. All right, so that's the strengths for the greens. Yeah, I gotta hurry here. I'm gonna talk about the weaknesses. Greens, I'm gonna tell you right now, you have a hard time seeing your weaknesses because you've researched so much. You kind of find the best way to do things. So in your mind, everything is black and white, and you have figured out the best way to do things. Okay, and that's just the way greens tend to be. So their biggest struggle is interacting with people because you're going to come across very very know-it-all, I think is a way to say that. Very matter of fact, very I'm right and you're wrong. And other greens eat that up because they're like, oh, wow, you're giving me good information. And the greens are just trying to give out good information, not even realizing how they're coming across. And so one of the greens' biggest struggle is interacting with other people. All right. You're going to have all this great information in greens. If you got this is one of your weaknesses. You've got all this amazing information. The reality is people aren't rejecting your good information. They're rejecting you. And as hard as that is to hear, that's the way it works. That's just a fact because you guys want to get your facts across, and that's great. But in order to do that in the most efficient way possible, you've got to be connecting with people because a lot of these personality types aren't going to care a word you're saying until they know you actually care about them. And so if you care about the facts, and that's great. The world needs you for that. But you tend to give too much information. Right. A lot of times you puke information, and I say that in the most loving way I can. You're giving out so much because you have all this great information and they need all of this great information. And so you tell a story and you're telling what the barometer reading was and what the temperature was that day and what color the sky was exactly, and how many clouds there were, all to tell us that a car drove by you, and so you got to understand that people get lost in all those facts and they don't get the information. Learning to pull the information down some. You can overcomplicate things, give too many details, and use really big words. You start using all the $10 words, right? Which are more precise, which is the way you're wired. But just so you know, the Blues miss those words because they were in the principal's office. So if you want to communicate effectively, you have to bring that down. So one of the things that's huge there is, and it's something I do if I accidentally use a big word, is to immediately define the word. That's just a side tip there for you. That way they understand what you're trying to say. Let's see, they can tend to be pretty negative just because they've decided that they know kind of the way everything's supposed to go. And they can struggle when the routine is altered. They plan the day out. They're the ones that are going to plan the vacation to every second to best optimize the vacation. And then all of their family members are going, this is the worst vacation ever because we can't hang out and have fun. We're just marching to your tune. So, all right. So that's a quick on the greens. Let's jump to the reds. Reds, we saved the best for last, right? We're gonna be very precise on the reds. They are natural born leaders. A lot of your CEOs, they are reds. They are very good decision makers. They will take the information they have at hand and they will make a decision. They tend to be goal setters. That means they're gonna set a goal and they're gonna work really hard to get there. They're task oriented, so sometimes they can step on people trying to get to that goal, but they get things done. Your Reds are going to have things most of the way done before your yellows or greens are even going to start, right? That's just the way they work. They are very independent. I can do this. I don't need help. And they're just going to run. I mean, they're your doers. So the weaknesses on that, and they tend to have a short fuse, right? They're already overloaded. You're wasting their time. I don't have patience for this. I don't have time for this. So I'm just going to blow up on you and move on. A lot of times their management style is to yell at you. They can be very hard and sarcastic, right? I'm not going to take time to sugarcoat things. I'm going to give it to you straight because I want it straight, right? So I'm just going to be like, hey, you're being dumb. Stop, right? The Red's going to be like, all right, I get it. I'm hearing you. Message received. I'll stop being dumb, right? Everybody else is going to crumble because I was so rude, right? I have on here that they can be inconsiderate, arrogant, and too direct. All right. And I used all those words together because those are things, we talked about how each personality type wants to help the world. They just go about it in a different way. The Reds are very direct. They're going to tell you, hey, I have the best information. You're about to get this information. Their idea of fun is winning and making money, right? If you say fun, there's got to be a chance for them to compete and win or solve a puzzle, right? That nobody else could solve because I'm the best. So I want to be the best and I want to make money, right? That's how you reach me. That's my idea of fun. And because of that, I don't waste a lot of time. A Red is going to bullet point. They're going to just, all right, here you go, here you go, here you go, and here you go. Because of that, all the other personality types can perceive them as inconsiderate, arrogant, and way too direct. But the reality is when we say they're helping the world, that inconsiderate is Reds tend to take care of themselves first because they truly believe they're the best person to fix a problem. So they need to be taken care of first. And so they're really trying to help others. So they're going to go get the best sandwich because, well, I obviously need the best because I'm going to be the leader here. That's really not them being selfish. It's them saying, hey, this is the best way to help. They come across arrogant because I'm going to tell you the best and I'm going to be the best. And the reason I'm going to make sure you know I'm the best when I walk into that room is because everybody else needs to understand that I'm the best because nobody wants to follow somebody that's not the best. So I'm going to show you I'm the best. And then I'm going to be too direct because I'm just going to give you this good information. I'm going to move on because you need to get going so you can succeed. All right. They tend to struggle with close relationships because they can push people away. All right. They're gonna be mean. They're gonna be too harsh sometimes. Right. So they can have struggles with close relationships. And they have trouble delegating. And this is huge because they feel like they're the best and they're going to be the best office vacuumer in the world. And they're going to be the best at fixing the sink. And they're going to be the best at getting the kids to school on time. And they're going to be the best at picking out the car. And they're going to be the best at work. And what they're going to do is they're going to grab too many things and be juggling too many plates. So then they tend to let other people down because they're juggling too many things because they've said yes to too many things because in their mind, they can do it all and they want to help. Right. And so that comes from a good place, but then they end up behind all the time. And they tend to burn out a lot because they've taken on too much. And they tend to beat themselves up because when you drop the ball on something and you're supposed to be good at this, then you're going to beat yourself up. They're the kid on the playground that loses in Foursquare and then gets mad and throws the ball at somebody or kicks the ball. And we look at him, we go, well, that's a jerk move. Why are you doing that? Why are you being so selfish? You need to be a better sport. And yes, they need to learn that, but we need to understand that they're not being mean to somebody else in that moment, that for them winning, being the best is their motivation. It's where they're all about. So when they in their mind, they have to win to be the best. And Reds, hear me on this. You're going to crumble and you're not going to be able to be the best if you can't get this under control because everyone fails sometimes. Everyone. Professional baseball players fail 7 out of 10 times. And that's the best of them, right? So that little kid had set himself up and his life goal and his value is tied to being the best. So when he lost, suddenly he wasn't the best anymore. And he didn't know how to deal with that. All right. And if we never learn how to deal with that as a Red, then we're going to be going through life with that same attitude. I'm going to take my toys and go home. I'm going to get mad every time somebody else is better at me than something. instead of learning from them. Again, we learn more from our failures than we do from our wins. As much as we love winnings, Reds. So in order to be the best, we need to learn how to best deal with failure, right? You're not going to hit every time. Not everybody's going to say yes to you. All right. You're going to miss some of those goals you set up. Keep setting them high. That's okay. But understand that delegation is really important. So there's I think it's Maxwell that talks about the 80-20 rule, that there's in your job and in your life, there's like 20% of the things. If you have 100 things to do, 20% of those are things only you can do. And Reds get really lost in the 80% that anybody could do. So you can hire somebody to do it or have somebody else do it. And yes, it might not be as good of a job as you would do it, but it is it's better that you delegated so you can focus on the things that you are best equipped to handle and only you can do. All right. So that's really important as you progress through business, through life, through everything, to understand that we need to learn to delegate and let things go. All right. Anything else on the Reds I missed? All right. I think that's the quick version of the basis of the personality types. Just kind of understanding yourself takes a level of honesty. When you're thinking about, I know we gave you a bunch of information as I wrap this up. It's sometimes it's, oh, well, I'm this one, I'm that one. And the Reds especially are like, well, I'm the best of this and the best of this and the best of this and the best of this. So I must be all of them. Well, no, you're red. And then the Greens are going to be going, well, none of it was precise enough. So I think I'm all of them because, I'm a little bit of this one and this one. And because they're striving for being precise. That's kind of a Green trait. So that can end you up thinking you're all of them. Everyone has some of all of them, but you'll have a main one that'll be your go-to as we talk through this, and it takes honesty looking at yourself, because a lot of times we got to look at the bad stuff, the weaknesses, to really figure out where we are on this thing. So it takes some humility. And I will say this: I read a book on personality types. It was from a business standpoint, and the whole thing came across as how you manipulate people into buying from you. And I hated that, because this isn't about manipulation. This is about being genuine and learning who you are and being who you are, not something you're not. But we can learn how to interact with these other personality types. And I'll tell you right now, the yellows are going to be able to tell if you're being genuine or not right off the get-go. So just be you and learn how to communicate so that in a way that honors the other personality types. And it will really help. You're not looking to change. Hey, if you're here and you've got a spouse or a relationship, you're like, ooh, I need to fix this about them. That's not what this is. All right. This is not about fixing somebody else. This is about seeing who you are, the way you do things, and interacting with them in a way that is loving and builds them up and honors them. So,
and then just a quick reminder. So next week when we talk about it, man, I can't get this. That'll be more like you said, the identifiers, how you approach somebody who's a sapphire about your business, how you approach a ruby about it, and just more in detail about all of that will be next week. So anyway, thanks for listening, guys. I don't know if you want to do a question time.
So much. I think we'll probably need to save questions either for a little bit of an after party or next week. So that's all. Just if you guys have time to stick around for a few questions, but I want to go ahead and wrap up just so those that need to hop off can. But guys, thank you so much. So Jan is asking, is there any kind of an online quiz that you would recommend to help determine what we are, what color?
Yeah. So I will send you what I'll do. I'll just text it to you, Amber, and then you guys can put it wherever you want in the groups or whatever. So I'll just send you a link.
And then do you also
I like Janie Johnson's quiz the best.
Yeah, it's one from Danny Johnson. So I'll go find hers. It's one I send to everybody.
Yes.
So.
But if you do, and I will say this, if you do one of the disc ones, the discs are 4. It's based on the same thing. It's just a little different wording. So you could get a pretty good idea if you did one of the disc ones too.
Okay. But anyway, I'll send you a link.
And then do you have the Foursquare and the things written out that you were going to share on the screen that you could also send me, and we'll post it in Building Freedom as well?
Yes.
Yeah. I can send you the whole slideshow if people want the notes.
Okay.
The slideshow.
We'll get that put up, guys, and then hopefully next week we'll be able to do the screen share during the.
Yeah, it does make it a lot easier to read and follow along with notes. So
Yeah.
yes, we'll work on that.
This does not fit into my personality. My sister will tell you, but I completely geeked out and pulled out my colored Sharpies to make my page. Like, this does not fit in my personality in this, but I did. So it's all pretty.
Lots of big colors is very blue because it makes it more interesting.
Okay, I am very blue in case y'all can't tell. I saw during the call exactly what happened. So Tommy taught this. We had a retreat a couple years ago with my team and we did this, and this happened then. And I saw it tonight on the call. As you guys were talking, you would hit a certain topic, I would see people smile, and it was like, oh yes, I recognize that about myself. Or maybe like you said, I recognize that about my spouse. And that's so good, because essentially this is all learning to teach us how to communicate and how to talk with other personalities. And like I put when I was promoting this call, this is relationship marketing, and relationships have so much to do with dealing with other people's personalities. So this can really, really, really benefit us in our business. So I hope you guys took a lot of really great notes, and we will get all of that posted in Building Freedom. Let's go ahead and do our drawing. So our top winner tonight, I can't even remember the total. It's like an astronomical amount. First of all, I don't think she's on here, but I know she'll watch the recording. Lynn Scarborough had 3,105 points this week on her tracker. And Miss Amber Kidd had 3,455 tracker points. They both said it's my best week yet. So that is awesome. I love that they're saying that this is my best week yet, because it's competing against yourself, like I keep telling you guys. And a lot of you all posted your trackers. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. Let's do our drawing for our, what are we giving away? I don't think we ever said what we're giving away this week. What do you guys want? Put some astronomical thing in there. Money. Amber Kidd said money. All right, $25 again, just like last week. So this is a drawing. Everyone that's on the call, your names are in my little cup here, and we will draw. Pam is the winner. Pam, way to go. Message me your Venmo stuff, and we'll get that sent over. Way to go, you guys. Tommy and Amber, this is completely up to you all if you want to stick around for the after party. I'm going to go ahead and close this in prayer. Y'all, we've got some people on our team going through some heavy stuff. I know it seems like we do often. That's just because we have so many people on our team, but let's just be mindful to reach out and be praying for each other, and just lifting each other up. All right. And if you see Jana and I in the next couple of weeks and our heads are spinning, it's because of this dinner we're doing for my dad's ministry. And I wanted to also say that we would like to invite you all. If you want to come, reach out to me or Jana. I'm dead serious. This event is going to be amazing. So there's my Timley Ministries plug. Hey, it's my call. I can do it. So there we go. All right, let's pray. Dearly Father, Lord, I thank you so much for this night. Lord, I thank you for this amazing team. I thank you for Tommy and Amber, Lord, for how much they love you, for how much they love other people, for their willingness to share tonight and feed into us, Lord. God, I just pray for those on our team who are facing some really heavy burdens and some really heavy decisions. And Lord, I just pray that you will give wisdom and you will give peace. Lord Jesus, we love you. We thank you so much for making us all so uniquely different. With all these different personalities, the world would be so boring if we were all the same. And so, Lord, we thank you for that. And we pray that as we study this here in these next couple of weeks, that you will just give us insight and give us wisdom as well, so that we can communicate better with others. Lord Jesus, we love you. We pray all these things in your name. Amen. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. Oh, actually, Tommy and Amber, I think you have to end the recording because you're hosts now.
Oh.
The top left.
Here it
So
is.